Let me just get this out of the way. I hate dating apps. I know that might sound dramatic coming from someone who spent more time on them than I'd like to admit, but there's a point where even the most patient among us has to throw in the towel and call it like it is. Dating apps are basically the fast food of relationships. Quick, easy, and mostly unsatisfying. Sure, you might find something decent now and then, but more often than not, you're left wondering why you didn't just cook at home. I wasn't always so cynical. When I first downloaded Tinder back in the day, it felt like the future. It was like a game. Swipe left, swipe right, match, message. Easy, right? The thrill of getting a notification that someone liked you back was its own kind of high, a tiny little dopamine hit that made you feel like maybe, just maybe, you were only a few swipes away from the one. Yeah, spoiler alert, that's not how it works. The illusion of choice. If you're someone who's dabbled in dating apps, you know what I'm talking about. There's this illusion that there are endless options out there. I mean, there's no shortage of dating apps. Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, OkCupid, Coffee Meets Bagel. Still don't get the name. And let's not even get started on the niche ones. Dog lovers, farmers, people who are really into Star Wars. It seems like there's an app for everyone. But here's the catch. With so many options, no one's ever satisfied. Like, how can you possibly commit to talking to one person when there are thousands more just a swipe away? You match with someone, and before you've even had a chance to see where the conversation goes, you're already thinking, maybe there's someone better out there. It's like scrolling through Netflix. You spend more time browsing than actually watching anything. And let's be real, we all know that paralyzed feeling of having too many options and then just deciding to rewatch The Office for the 47th time. Swipe fatigue. It's real, and it sucks. I'm not saying I didn't have some good moments on dating apps. I've had my fair share of interesting dates. But after a while, I noticed something. Swiping, matching, messaging. It all started to feel like work. You know that feeling when you're going through your inbox at work and you've got 500 unread emails? Yeah, it's like that, but with human beings. You open the app and there's a dozen new matches waiting for you, all of them sending variations of hey or what's up. And honestly, I can't blame them, because what else are you supposed to say to a complete stranger who you matched with purely based on their ability to take a good selfie? The conversations are painfully repetitive. I can't tell you how many times I've had to answer the same, "So what do you do?" or "Any fun plans for the weekend?" questions. It's like we're all stuck in this never-ending loop of small talk. And sure, small talk is fine in moderation. But when it's the foundation of every interaction you have on these apps, it starts to feel like you're trapped in an episode of Groundhog Day. The worst part is, you know they're asking those same questions to 5 other people at the same time, just like you are. It's not a real conversation. It's copy-paste flirting. And that's where the fatigue kicks in. After a while, you just stop caring. You start ghosting people because keeping up with 15 shallow conversations is exhausting. And you can't even remember why you swiped right on half of them in the first place. When everything is performative, nothing feels real. Another thing that's completely messed with dating culture is how performative everything has become. And look, I'm not here to bash social media. I love a good Instagram scroll as much as the next person. But social media combined with dating apps, it's a recipe for disaster. We're living in this weird age where everyone is their own brand. Your dating profile isn't a reflection of who you are. It's a curated highlight reel designed to make you look as attractive, fun, and interesting as possible. You carefully select your best photos, throw in a witty bio that makes you sound effortlessly cool, and hope for the best. But guess what? Everyone else is doing the exact same thing, so now you've got 2 people who are essentially meeting each other's avatars. The real you doesn't come out until way later, if ever. And by the time you've gone through the exhausting ritual of matching, messaging, and eventually meeting up, It's hard to shake the feeling that the whole thing has been a performance. You're not actually connecting with someone, you're connecting with their online persona. I once went on a date with a girl who seemed great on paper. Her profile was funny, we had great banter over text, and she seemed like someone who had her life together. But when we met up in person, it was like I was talking to a completely different person. She was awkward, standoffish, and way too focused on checking her phone, probably swiping through more profiles in real time, if I'm being honest. That's the problem with dating apps. They encourage us to present a version of ourselves that's edited, polished, and ultimately fake. And when the mask slips, it's disappointing. We're so focused on marketing ourselves to strangers that we forget how to be real. And in the end, that's why so many of these connections fizzle out before they even get started. You can't build something authentic on a foundation of filtered selfies and clever one-liners. The lost art of genuine connection. Let me tell you something. I miss meeting people in real life. It's like we've forgotten how to do it. Remember when you could just strike up a conversation with someone at a bar or a party and feel that instant spark? There was no swiping, no overthinking, no algorithms involved. It was just two people in the moment figuring out if they clicked. These days, it feels like dating apps have hijacked that process. We rely on the apps so much that we don't even try to meet people organically anymore. It's easier to swipe through a few profiles on your lunch break than it is to actually put yourself out there and risk real-world rejection. I'll never forget this one time I was at a concert with some friends. We were having a great time, and I noticed this cute girl standing near us, also vibing to the music. Old me, pre-dating app me, would have gone up to her, made some joke about the band, and seen where things went. But what did I do instead? I pulled out my phone and checked Tinder to see if there were any matches in the area. Yeah, I know. I cringe just thinking about it. Here I was, in a perfect situation to meet someone naturally, and I defaulted to swiping on an app like a complete idiot. That was a wake-up call for me, because it made me realize how much dating apps have rewired my brain. Instead of living in the moment and connecting with someone in front of me, I was busy looking for a connection through a screen. And it's not just me. I see it happening everywhere. You go to a bar, and half the people there are on their phones swiping through profiles instead of talking to the people around them. It's like we've forgotten how to make eye contact, how to flirt, how to just be with someone without the safety net of a carefully curated profile. Ghosting and the death of accountability. Let's talk about ghosting for a second. Because if dating apps have ruined one thing more than anything else, it's accountability. I swear, ghosting has become the new normal. You're chatting with someone, maybe even planning to meet up, and then, poof, they disappear without a trace. No explanation, no closure, just radio silence. And the thing is, we've all done it. Myself included, because when the app gives you endless options, it's easy to just bail when you're not feeling it. Why bother sending a polite, "I'm not interested" text when you can just ghost and move on to the next profile? It's a low-effort, low-consequence move, and it's killing any chance of real, meaningful connection. In the real world, if you meet someone and things don't click, you usually have to deal with the awkwardness of letting them down gently. But on dating apps, there's no accountability. You can ghost someone and never think about it again, because there's always another match waiting for you. We've become so comfortable with the disposable nature of app-based dating that we've forgotten how to treat people with basic respect. Conclusion: swiping right, but feeling wrong. So, here we are, stuck in a dating culture that prioritizes convenience over connection, where conversations are transactional, and ghosting is just another Tuesday. Dating apps promise to make finding love easier, but instead, they've made it feel mechanical, soulless, and frankly, exhausting. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I miss the days when meeting someone felt special. Real connection is about vulnerability, spontaneity, and actually seeing the person across from you, flaws and all. Maybe it's time we all took a break from the apps and remembered how to meet people in the real world again. Because at the end of the day, swiping right doesn't mean much if you're still swiping left on actual connection.